How's it going, folks? Been a while. Haven't had much to say. Been pretty depressed, as usual. But today I start dieting. Um, and so I figured I'd make a little video about dieting. I'm going back and trying my original diet. You might notice I made a video. I don't know, you probably don't notice it, but I made a video way back when I was still thin. You can see how thin I was. I'm not anywhere near that now. I'm actually back to the same weight I was before I started losing weight for the first place. So totally back to square one on my weight. It's disappointing. I was able to stay thin for about maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years. I think from about 2002 or so was when I first was thin to about 2009. So maybe 7 years actually. Because I was thin for 7 years. Well, maybe by 2003 I was thin. I don't know, 6 years, something like that. Which isn't bad, you know. I probably would have stayed at least in relatively good shape had it not been for the severe depression of how little things worked out for me in college. And I've always been a guy who eats away his depression, or not really eats away his depression, but turns to food as a way to cope with depression. And so that's not good, obviously. But, you know, for people like us who are kind of ne'er-do-wells, they say, it's hard to find joy in life in anything else other than simple, sort of, not simple pleasures, I should say, but things that provide instant gratification. It's always easy to search for, things that provide instant gratification that don't really do anything for you in the long term, but at least make you not feel like your life is terrible in the moment. I've gotten out of hand again, 330 pounds. I'm like 331.8, almost 332. It's about right up there with that, right around as high as I've ever been. So I'm dieting again. I don't really know why. There's no reason for me to be hopeful about anything, but I don't know. I guess I kind of want to be able to go snowboarding this winter, and my current weight probably not going to be too easy. Hold myself up on a snowboard. So anyway, I wanted to make this video to kind of dispel some myths about dieting. I think there's a lot of promises made by people on TV and dieting programs that are designed to get you to buy their diet program, but there's some certain I think basic underlying laws of dieting, and let's start with them now. Number one, if you're going to diet, it's going to be very hard for you to keep the weight off. I mean, I could have done it if I hadn't been depressed. But it's very hard to stick to a diet permanently. If I lose weight on this diet, I don't expect to keep it off. I'll probably gain it all back at some point, but I'm 41, and I guess I'd like to have one last hurrah of being semi-young. I'm not young really, but in your 40s is kind of like the young old person. You become sort of over the hill at 40, and then as you go to 50, you're starting to get pretty old, and 60 you're straight out old. 70 you're starting to get really old. 80 you're knocking on heaven's door, or whatever, or hell's door, depending on how you've been. If you believe in that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm going to try to lose weight so that I can enjoy my 40s, which is probably the last decent decade of having your I think the 40s, maybe the 50s. I think the 40s and the 50s are probably pretty comparable, but you're still somewhat able-bodied. You're not as spring chicken. You can't do the things you do when you're in your 20s, but you're not, so old that you feel like you can't do anything. So, sorry to the people in their 60s. If you stayed in shape and are still kicking ass at 60, good for you, you know. But a lot of us aren't going to be able to do that. Um, anyway, so yeah, I don't expect to keep the weight off. I mean, you think about what you get used to. I mean, it's hard to, when you're used to eating a certain way, to spend the rest of your life eating healthy. So it doesn't seem realistic for me to keep the weight off. But you know, I'm gonna try to lose it and see if I can at least enjoy my 40s and 50s. It's probably bad for me. I'll be yo-yo dieting, but that's just gonna be how it's gonna have to go. So yeah, I don't expect to keep the weight off. Number one, I do. I have a friend who lost a lot of weight and she's kept it off so far. So, but you never know. It's always a risk that it'll come back. You have to be vigilant. If you do lose the weight, you have to make sure you never let yourself, you know, go. I can't believe I let myself go. I did so well and I blew it all. So it's too bad. All right, so that's number one. Don't expect to keep the weight off because. And if you do want to keep the weight off, you've got to be forever vigilant. You've got to be hard on yourself, and don't let depression, especially don't let depression, suck you back into the trap of eating for instant gratification. Number two, it's not going to be easy. It's never easy. You know, they make these claims like, you know, oh, you can eat whatever you want, you know, or not eat whatever you want, but I mean, I tried the fasting diet and you know, it's like if you're just doing the fasting diet, I did the fasting diet for about a year and didn't lose any weight at all. The fasting diet, there's a guy on TV who says, oh, you have to do the fasting diet the right way, which is to eat a ton at breakfast and then not as much for lunch and then even less for dinner, right? I don't know if that works or not. My instinct is that you could probably eat enough crap for breakfast every day, you know, that if you ate like that, you're still going to gain weight. I think this is, you know, this comes down to my point. My second point being that it's not easy, meaning that losing weight for somebody who's heavy is what you're doing is you're starving yourself. Let's not make any bones about this. This is not what people want to hear, but this is what they need to hear. When you are trying to lose weight, you know, the body is not meant to lose a large amount of weight. You're not supposed to, you know, drop 100 pounds. In nature, in the distant past when we were, you know, because the body is so stupid that it can't adapt to things. I mean, you know, I'm sure the body is a genius when you look at it from a biologist point of view, but when you look at it from the selfish and impatient modern day man's point of view, the body does not figure out its situation nearly fast enough for any of us, you know. If the body figured out that food was abundant in the modern world, then that people like us wouldn't exist. It would recognize that we were at a genetic, or that we were at a physical disadvantage in the mating game, and it would, you know, maybe, I don't know, increase our mitochondria count or something to burn off the excess fat that we have in order to get us looking good. But that's not how the body works. The body is stuck in a primitive mindset, and the primitive mindset says that you have to hold on to every last calorie because in case there's a food shortage, which there used to be a long time ago, not anymore, the body wants to retain all of its potential calories so that it can survive longer if there is a lack of calories. So the body doesn't want to lose weight, and you pretty much have to starve yourself to lose weight. You know, I mean, you're still eating, but you're cutting down the amount of food that you eat. You have to do that to be successful, you know, and the body does not like to lose weight. The body does not want you to starve yourself. The body does not want to lose a significant amount of weight. So it's going to be painful. When you diet, prepare for your body to tell you that you're hungry pretty much all the time. That's what happens. Your body just tells you it's hungry. And one way I'm able to counteract this with my diet, is if you watch the video that I made years ago, is that for 5 days a week, my body feels like that. I go to bed hungry. I wake up hungry. Everything tastes, you know why everything tastes delicious when you're on a diet? You can eat the most basic things. You know, I could eat a bowl of Cheerios when I'm eating whatever I want, and it's like a Cheerios, whatever. But if I've been on a diet for a while, every bowl of Cheerios is like a gift from God, you know? It's like everything it just tastes incredible. And that's because the body is desperate for any calorie it can get. You watch these guys on these survivor shows, and they're eating, crap that they find in nature, stuff that, is not pleasing to the palate at all. And yet it tastes delicious to these people because they're starving themselves out there in nature because it's hard to find food. That's the reality. It's like that. Those survival shows are kind of the reality of what our bodies should be going through. If we were living in nature the way, the body believes we are, based on, a primitive form of life, a primitive lifestyle we used to live, then we would need to, then basic things, very basic things would taste delicious. Even a bat meat or grubs or whatever the hell. When you're starving, the body needs any calories it can get, and so it's going to try to make any food taste better. So I guess I'm kind of meandering here, but the idea is that you're going to feel like you're starving, and 5 days a week I will stick to the starvation plan, and then on the weekend I will eat whatever I want. That's where you get the reprieve. I made that comment in my video. The only way you can withstand the pain of being starving most of your life is to eat what you want on the weekends. Is it kind of gives you a break from starvation. Now you're like, the body can accept that, okay, well, I at least get to eat something now. It doesn't have to be the weekends, just 2 days a week, basically. You can choose any 2 days a week, really, but I like to do the weekends just because that's where most of the food opportunities are. So yeah, rule number 2. You're starving yourself. When you're losing a lot of weight, you're starving yourself, and it's not going to be easy. You're going to feel like you're starving. There's no way around that. You will feel like you're starving. And people say, oh, you can eat as many vegetables as you want. Well, that's not what the body craves, Yeah, sure, you can shove your gut full of broccoli or whatever the hell. And, maybe it'll do a better job to satiate you. I used to do that a lot, You certainly can, load up on vegetables to try to reduce your hunger. But it's not what the body is craving. When you get into that starvation mode, when you're actually losing weight, the body wants fat, the body wants sugar, and wants that concentrated hit. And you have to deny yourself that, You can eat vegetables all you like. It's kind of reminded of the people in these survivor shows, like they have people that, some of the people are big herbalists or biologists, and they just pick plants to eat. But, you watch these people in these shows, and they get the same joy out of eating those plants that they do out of eating, a snake or whatever hell they catch and cook. Absolutely not. It's got that it's packed full of that fat and it's energy dense. The body wants those energy dense foods. It's not going to be easy, They tell you, oh, you can have this pasta with broccoli. It's like, screw pasta with broccoli. It's like every item they come up with that you can eat that's not the fats and sugars is not what the body wants. You just don't want it. It's just stuff you're cramming down your mouth so that you don't have to think about it, but it's not enjoyable, So get ready. If you're going on a diet, get ready to suffer. You're going to be suffering. With my diet, you'll at least only suffer 5 days a week. But if you want to get there, it's going to be, you're starving yourself, You are starving yourself when you diet. There's no way around it. No matter what people say, no matter how they try to make it, sugarcoat it, make it seem like their diet somehow has the magic key. The bottom line is that you are starving yourself, and that's how you lose weight. You have to starve yourself. The body is not meant to lose weight. The body's not meant to gain excess weight, and the body is suited for a time when you found just enough calories to get you through your day. That's what the body thinks, that you're only getting enough calories to get you through your day. So it thinks if you have a surplus, oh, you must have hunted and killed a buffalo or something, or I don't know, whatever, you've killed some wild animal. It doesn't want to let go of those calories. It doesn't, even if you're eating fatty stuff every day, it thinks that it thinks it needs every calorie it can get. So you're going to have to starve yourself to get anywhere, and it's not going to be pleasant no matter what anyone tells you. Okay. That's one of the other things. I was trying to think if there was. That was kind of the two main things. Let me see if there was anything else. I was going to say the third thing is all this talk about, what you eat. Oh yeah, avoid carbs and eat protein. Or there's all these. There's a lot of fad diets. Oh, you have to eat this certain combination of foods or whatever. I think that's maybe if you're bodybuilding, okay, potentially that matters. But if you're just trying to lose weight, I don't think it really matters. I don't think it matters what you eat. I think it just matters that you. The key for me is that you limit. And of course, there's, people will say, oh well, carbs are bad, or I mean, in the end, I think they'll say calories specifically is bad, or sugar is bad, or they'll come up with 1,000 things that are bad. To me, the reality is you can eat whatever you want, but you just have to eat less of everything, period. I don't think it matters, I mean, I did have a theory that you could eat a lot of sugars and carbs as long as you exercised, because it's easier to burn off carbs and sugar than it is fat. That was something I learned in biology class that kind of stuck with me. Now, carbs and sugar turn into fat, they'll tell you, which they do. But my idea was if you exercise a lot, then all the carbs and sugar you consume doesn't really have a chance to be turned into fat, so it's easier to burn off. It's easier to burn off carbs than fat. That's my theory. At least that's what I learned in biology class, and it seemed to work for me once. Because when I lost 100 pounds the first time, I was eating a crap ton of sugar and carbs, and wasn't even eating particularly a large amount of protein. So I don't really think it matters. I don't think it matters what you eat. I just think it matters that you have to have some kind of limiting number. I choose fat grams, and a lot of people would tell you, oh, you got to eat fat. Oh, fat's good for you, healthy fat, all that kind of stuff. Well, if fat's so good for you, then how is it that I lost 100 pounds keeping myself to under 30 grams of fat 5 days a week? I eat lots of sugar. I eat a lot of the things these diets tell you not to eat, but I still lost 100 pounds. I lost all that weight at a time when they were just starting to get hyped about the Mediterranean diet, the Atkins diet, all that stuff. Keto, ketogenesis, and all this stuff. I mean, I don't believe it. I think the reason why people lose weight is because they are just limiting what they eat. You have to pick a number. There's lots of different numbers. There's carbs, you could use carbs if you want. You could limit your carbs. You can limit your calories. You can limit your fats. But the reality of the matter is if you limit any one of these numbers, you're limiting every other number at the same time. Things with calories also have fat. Things with fat usually have calories. Things with carbs often have fat with them, or things with carbs often have calories with them. You know what I'm saying? All these numbers are interrelated. So it doesn't really matter to me which one you limit. As long as you're limiting a number, you will not eat as much food, period. Everything has carbs, fat, and calories. And if they don't have those things, then they don't have all those things, then they probably have, those are the kind of the loopholes I found in my diet where I was able to eat the things that didn't have fat but did have calories and carbs. And I would do that, and it worked for me. Now, I don't know if that was because I was exercising a lot, but it seems like if you're going to lose weight, you've got to exercise anyway, right? I mean, I know they say the diet's the most important thing and the exercise comes second. That may be true, but if you sit around on the couch all day and just follow a diet, are you going to lose a lot of weight? I don't think so. I think you have to do some amount of exercise to have an amount of success. It's probably not as important as the eating, probably not even close to being as important, but you need to exercise. You got to put on muscle tone to help you burn the calories. I was working out like a beast when I lost the weight. Hour cardio a day. Sometimes I do an hour and a half, believe it or not, and an hour and a half, or hour to hour and a half of hard cardio. Like Stairmaster on a high level to the point where I felt like I was going to die on the Stairmaster. I don't think I have it in me to do that kind of work. So This will be a good test as to whether diet or exercise is going to be more important. Because I'm planning on starting some kind of an exercise regimen, but it's not going to be anything like what I did in my youth. So this will be a good test to see if you know, what's more important. Because I'm going to focus more on diet than I did on exercise in the past, and we'll see if I have any success with that. But bottom line is, it doesn't really matter much what you eat. I think it's just a matter that you have to pick a number that limits what the total amount of what you eat. And that number doesn't have to be calories. It can be anything. I choose fat grams because it's simple. Fat grams are much easier to count. When you're talking about calories, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of calories in everything you eat. And every time you take a drink of something, you have to include that in the calorie count. And personally, I don't like to have to keep tallies on every last fucking thing I eat. That's one of the reasons why I got tired. I was on the, a paleo version of the paleo diet at one point, and I had to keep meticulous records of everything I ate. And let me tell you, that gets really old. If you want to have to do, nobody I don't think wants to have to keep a record of every last little thing that they eat for the rest of their life. And so when I was doing this paleo diet, a buddy of mine put me on. I was keeping track of how much protein I ate and trying to get that amount, and how many carbs, and all the, everything, MyFitnessPal and all that stuff. Using that to track everything I ate. I did have success on that diet, but not as much success as I did on the diet where I just kept track of fat. I lost maybe 40 pounds on that other diet, and I lost 100 pounds on the diet where I just kept track of fat. And on the paleo, quote-unquote paleo, whatever version of the paleo diet that I was on, I got so tired of eating just protein and vegetables all the time and having to get my required daily protein, which was a high number, and reading about how eating too much protein can be bad for your heart. If you eat a lot of lunch meats, there's preservatives and that stuff. It's carcinogenic. I don't think it's that healthy eating the amount of protein that they tell you to eat on some of these diets. I don't think it's good for your heart. I don't think it's good for your body. So I think it's better to just eat a balanced diet and limit some number that will basically require you to eat less in total. And that's what the fat grams does for me. Even if you say, you could say, oh, well, you can, if you do it just fat grams, you can cheat. You can eat a lot of sugar, you can eat a lot of carbs, and you'll undo, all the good you did from limiting the fat, But the reality of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, that might be true. Maybe you could eat a lot of sugar. Maybe you could eat a lot of carbs, but you're not going to want... The body, I think, craves kind of the balance. The body wants things in equal proportions. The body doesn't want a lot of protein or a lot of fat or a lot of carbs. The body wants a little of everything. It's like you don't want to eat ice cream all day. That's one good point. Or you don't want to eat, let's take the fat out of it. You don't want to eat bread all day or something even less fatty. You don't want to drink soda all day. Your body wants fat. Your body wants carbs, and it wants, it even wants healthy stuff, I think. The body tells you if you eat too much crap, just fat and calories and sugar, your body will react violently against that. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, I think that by limiting the fat, you could say, well, okay, then you could just eat a ton of, you drink soda, and, I don't know, what's some of the other things you could eat? You could eat, you can't have chocolate because that's got fat in it. I'm trying to think of other ways you could beat the system, but there's really not that many, It's like you think about the things that have a lot of sugar in them, and usually they have fat in them. There's not that many things that have sugar that don't have fat that you want to eat a lot of, So that's why using the fat grams works, because by limiting fat, you're also limiting sugar. You're also limiting carbs, It's just a matter of limiting yourself on everything. You can eat whatever you want, but you have to set a limit on the total amount that you consume. And that's why using fat grams works, because if you set a limit of 30 grams of fat, there's only so much stuff you can eat. You don't want to eat pure sugar, you know. You don't want to eat pure carbs. There's a lot of stuff that really is made of pure carbs, you know. Most everything is a combination of fat, sugar, and carbs. Milk, sugar, and carbs are kind of the same thing, but you know what I'm saying. Those are the things we crave, I think. We crave a combination of fat, sugar, and carbs. And when you limit one of them, you limit all three of them automatically. So you can you could choose calories instead if you wanted to do it by calories, but you know, calories are a bitch to count. You can choose carbs, but then that drastically limits what you can eat, you know. You cut out all breads, all cereals, all, you know. I mean, breads and cereals, people love bread and cereals. Who doesn't? When you cut out fat, when you reduce fat, you still get to have 30 grams of fat a day, which is a decent amount. I mean, it's not that much really, because you do end up starving on this diet, but nothing is off limits anymore, you know. Yes, you can have fat, but you have to limit the amount, you know, and you end up limiting carbs automatically. You end up limiting sugars automatically. That's just how usually these things go together. And it's just a lot easier to keep track of the fat grams. It's not, you know, you don't want to diet. The reality of the matter is so many of these people act like if a diet is difficult, you know, they act like you should be, you know, keeping detailed records of every last thing you eat. Who wants to do that, you know? It's like, who's going to stick to a diet that requires so much mental effort and time? They're not being realistic, you know. These people put these, I mean, unless you're a dietitian or or a bodybuilder, nobody wants to spend the time counting every last thing that they eat. You know, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to have to go online and update some portal about every last little item that they eat. Most of us do not care on that level. And if you have to do that for the rest of your life, what do you think the chances are you'll stick to that diet? Very little. Nobody wants to waste that much time of their life counting what they're eating. And if you are wasting that much time on your life, you're probably a fitness freak. And most of us are not that. So that's why I recommend the fat grams. It's just one marker of the amount of food you're eating. Pick a marker, any marker. You know, if you don't like fat, fine. Actually, if you don't like fat, then my system's the best. But if you don't like carbs, go ahead. Limit your carbs, you know. If you're the kind of person that is going to, you know, feel guilty for eating sugar because you think that sugar is evil, fine. Limit calories, you know. But I'll tell you what I choose. I choose to limit fat grams because it's easy. Dieting should be easy. It shouldn't be difficult. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy because, like I said, you're starving yourself. So, you know, it's going to be hard in terms of being hungry all the time. You are going to be hungry all the time. Every time I've lost weight, I've been hungry all the time. That's how you lose weight. It's called starvation, as I mentioned. But at the very least, if you're going to be starving, you may as well be starving and not totally fed up with having to enter numbers all the time versus starving and spending, 40 minutes of your day entering calorie and information and having it be weighing on your mind. What did I eat? How much? What do I have to put into the thing? Oh, I got to write this down so that later, it's like, don't make it that hard. Just pick something easy. Hell, you could probably limit salt. It'd be the same thing, but you could limit your salt. You could limit your sugar intake. If you want to just count sugars, you could probably use a sugar, but it's just got to be some marker because all these items, I say, salt, sugar, whatever, they're in everything. They're in everything you eat. And if you just have one limit on one item, you're going to lose weight. You're going to starve because you and like people might say, oh, well, how is limiting salt going to help? Well, nobody wants to eat a crap ton of dessert all day. And if you do, you're something weird about you. But, I'm not just going to sit around eating chocolate all day because I limited salt. Your body doesn't want to eat chocolate all day. You want savory things too. I don't know. I've never tried limiting salt, so I don't know if that would be as effective, but you know what I'm saying. Just pick a number, whatever's easiest for you. For me, it's fat grams. I'm starting today. 331.8 pounds. That's where I let myself go to. I used to be 200, and I think at one point I was down to like 205 even after the first time I did this diet. So this is an experiment. We'll see how I do. I might give a regular update, maybe not once a week, but maybe I'll do a thing every time I lose 20 pounds, which might mean that I may never do another one of these videos because you never know it's hard to know if I'll have the same success at my age. When I was lost it the first time, I was in my 20s, so we'll have to see if this diet passes the test of, helping old guys lose weight too. But if it does, I'll know I'm right. Anyway, these are just theories now. Call this an experiment, and I'll let you know how I'm doing. After 20 pounds, I'll revisit the subject. Be excited if I get that far. We'll see. So there you have it, Tim's philosophy on dieting. I already made a video about this, but really, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to see if my ideas hold water here, and you can find out with me soon enough.